Greetings, dear precious, magnificent genius that you are. That's who you are. Don't let anybody talk you out of that or tell you something different. Only you have to know this, you see. Hi. I know I never tell you my name. It's on there on the thing, Terry. That's a vibration. It's not me. Your name can never describe you. Okay. Now, my topic. Free yourself of worries, guilt, and fear. Free yourself from worries, guilt, or fear. First point, stop arguing for your limitations. Stop trying to prove that you're a victim. Stop trying to prove how awful and bad everything else is. Okay? Because you can prove whatever you want to prove. This is who you are. The only lack out there is the lack of consciousness, of knowing and being who you are, knowing how this world operates, the virtual reality, knowing the true divine spiritual reality behind everything that's there, but occulted, hidden, say, by ignorance, layers and layers of beliefs, history, education, science, religion, government, laws, rules, regulations, dun, 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 infrastructure all set up so the few can remain in control as it resets things and changes and moves and does a... For what? You see? Because of you. Because of who you are and the power that you have. See? So when you start to notice this. So free yourself from worry, guilt, and fear. Have to look at what is the source of worry, guilt, and fear. They're words. They're concepts. They're beliefs. They're what you've been told, what you've been educated to believe, was constantly put out on the media where you might say everybody's saying the same story, the same talk, the same thing, and then you can watch patterns. Everything here is in patterns. And in my book, Live Your Bliss, I suggest that you get that. Live Your Bliss is really good because bliss is not something you attain. It is not the be-all and the end-all. It's you without thinking. It's your consciousness. It's you being right there without tormenting yourself by beliefs. And what happens in the thinking process, the thinking is coming from the thinking machine. And the machine has fragments of conscious and subconscious, unconscious, and all this. We don't have that. We don't need that. It's who we are. People say, well, that person's in a mental institute because they lost their mind. No, the mind went out. That is the mind taking over a body, a shape-shifting mind. Anyway, how to free yourself from fear, guilt, and worries is when you get, first of all, stop arguing in favor of disease, incurability, impossibility, the way it's going to be. This is, to me, is what is the most shocking thing, is that people are so-called, supposedly sharing truth out there in some way, absolute, are telling you how all these things that are the mind has planned, the mind virus, the thought form entities that have life, and almost like a biological AI, artificial intelligence, that operates on IT, which is information technology. That's it. You don't operate by this. That's all synthetics. That's all like an art form of what you might say. And what some people call art could be the most ugly, disgusting thing that you would ever want to even, you wouldn't even want to look at it again or listen to it or hear it or be any part of it. But well, we'll call that art. Well, not really. Anyway, and how you free yourself is you in this, you have to actually get that you manifested your reality right now. It's being manifested through you because your consciousness has been taken over until you take it back and then run not on your own divine wisdom, because you are divine wisdom, all-knowing, everywhere possible, everywhere present, and all-knowing, because you are part of the source, our beloved, I call, partner, that where we all have in common as a divine being, and that you are all individuals. Never get that you do not exist as an individual, because you always do. I have been everywhere for some gifted reason of some kind, and all levels of consciousness in different places. And yes. And when you realize how thoughts form entities have taken over humanity, or has made the concept of humanity, because humanity is a concept, not that you are never conceived of, because a conception also has an end. Just like you could see this little stick here, let's just call it a stick, it was part of a tree that fell off, and all it's changing its form. And yet we don't do that, because we're eternal and changeless. We don't have to beg and ask the God, source, partner, however you call this, to intervene and to make your team win, or to do this for you, or to get rid of that. It's already happening. You have to tune in to the divine that is already absolute and going. And you say, well, how do I have my own choices in that? Your choice is to either trust your inner knowing or trust your thoughts, or the words and thoughts of others as well. And the word recite is to say, and to incite people is to move them to do things. And sight is also vision. Take a look at the words and take them apart and say them in different ways. It's going to give you that knowledge of actually how everything's being presented in the outer world. So how you free yourself from guilt, from of suffering, of pain, of fear, of worry, all this stuff that's going on, where is it coming from? And when you realize it's a concept, and you free yourself by no longer believing what you've been taught and told is true, and you become the witness, and you can witness and observe how people are being controlled by their minds and beliefs and media and education. And what is education in this system? Memorization. And if you're really good at memorizing, you get to graduate with a box or cube on your head to tell you, look at the symbols, look at the symbols, look at all of this going on. And when you start to do this, you realize that you've been controlled. You've been trolled by cons. And to use you as a fueling system to make misery your source, to make suffering and pain and guilt. People say, yeah, but if I don't worry, I won't change anything. If I'm not afraid, I'm going to get attacked. If I don't feel guilty, I won't make amends. Wait a minute. Who's telling you that? The mind. Because when you know who you are, you're not hostile to anyone or anything. And if anything ever would want to attack, but you don't generate that, you would always do what needed to be done in the moment. Just like the other day, something happened, there was a noise, and my cat, it was a bark of a dog. She started to go outside, and then way down, because I live right in the middle of a huge meadow, don't see anybody. Way down there, a dog, she turned immediately, she didn't freeze like a rabbit in the light, like, I'm scared, what do I do? Oh, I'll change myself. I'll bark like a dog, and then I'll scare the dog off. Really? She acted immediately from her own inner guidance, get out of here. Okay? That doesn't mean fear. You have to tremble and be afraid. Not at all. So how you free yourself is you observe how it's generating, you give up your attachment to it and your belief that you need it, because after all, you're too stupid to know even what to do unless these emotions get you back into the mind to believe what you've been taught and told is true so that you memorized it. You don't need, the only thing you need to memorize and to remember is who you are, and I know who you are. So I'm saying thank you for those of you who help and contribute financially to this in any way that you can, whatever you can give, because what you're doing is helping us to be able to do this, and for me to do the research and to pull in stuff to be able to offer it to you and then offer it to your friends. So share it with people you know could get value out of this. Also, I have all my books. What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. Live Your Bliss. How to Have More in a Have Not World. Love and Power in a World Without Limits. I'm working on a lot of stuff right now, but also to come for a retreat, for a workshop through, it could be a 3-hour class that I'm having at Shasta. Also in mentoring, we use over the phone, also the email and the internet. And then also for counseling, I offer on a love offering basis because you always need to give. And when you give, you're acknowledging your power to manifest and to be able to contribute and to make a difference with what your resources, because you're putting it into something that is doing ultimate good for everybody, and animals included. So, we vote with our dollars, so to speak. It's not just where voting machine can be changed, because obviously, duh, anybody knows that. And you ever notice the funny thing about the Vatican? There's these two guys that count all the votes up in the tower, and then they burn them. I wonder who those two guys are. Anyway, I love you. Hugs.